Picture this. Two cars stopped at a red light. Left lane, a blacked-out luxury SUV. Fresh off the lot, spotless. Right lane, a 10-year-old Honda Civic. Small dent near the bumper. Coffee cup on the dash. Quick question. Which driver do you think is wealthy? You already answered. We all do. And here's the wild part. Statistically, in 2026, the safer bet is the Honda. The person in the SUV is far more likely drowning in payments they can barely make. The person in the Honda is far more likely free. So how did we get here? Where the people who look the richest are often the most financially stressed, and the people quietly building real wealth go out of their way to look completely ordinary? That's what this video is about, because looking poor on purpose might actually be one of the smartest financial moves you can make right now. Let me show you what's actually going on behind that shiny SUV, because the picture is not what the ads want you to believe. Heading into 2026, roughly 60% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck. That number alone is rough. But the detail underneath it, that's the one that should genuinely stop you. Around 40% of people earning over $100,000 a year were also living paycheck to paycheck. Think about that. 2 out of 5 six-figure earners. People we assume have it all figured out, finishing every month with basically nothing left. Let me make it more real. The average American household spends around $6,500 a month just to exist. That's $78,000 a year before a single nice thing gets added. Meanwhile, the personal savings rate, the slice of income most Americans actually keep, sat at around 4.5% in early 2026. Historically, it's been closer to double that. So we're saving less than past generations while spending more to keep up appearances. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. More than half of adults can't cover a $1,000 surprise expense from savings. Over a quarter have zero emergency fund at all. One survey found the average emergency savings balance was around $600. Not $6,000, not $60,000, $600. And for a while, economists thought a chunk of people were just choosing to spend freely, comfortable with living this way. But recent data flipped that. The group doing it by choice has shrunk. The group doing it out of pure necessity has grown. More people are stretched, not because they're buying Louis Vuitton bags, but because the basics now eat almost everything. So the next time you see a spotless luxury car and feel that little flicker of envy, hold on to this. A lot of those payments are being made by someone one missed check away from a real crisis. Here's the thing almost nobody explains. The loud version of wealth and the actual version of wealth, those are rarely the same people. We've just been conditioned to confuse the two. And it starts in your brain, not your bank account. Humans are wired to read status signals. For most of human history, those signals mattered. They told you who had food, who had protection, who was worth being around. That instinct never went away. It just got redirected. Now, the signals are a car badge, a watch, a kitchen renovation, a vacation photo posted at exactly the right angle. You're not buying the thing. You're buying a sentence you hope other people say about you. Economists even have a name for products that get more desirable because they're expensive, where the price tag is the whole point. But here's the trap. The people you're performing for, they're performing right back at you. Everyone's dressed up for an audience that's too busy worrying about their own costume to notice yours. And there's a second layer to this that's even sneakier. One luxury purchase demands more purchases to match. You buy one gorgeous chair. Suddenly, the rest of the room looks outdated. The couch has to go, then the rug, then the curtains, then the coffee table. One upgrade quietly raises the baseline, and everything around it has to rise to meet it. Same thing happens with your neighborhood, your friend group, your zip code. Move somewhere nicer and the pressure shows up uninvited. The unspoken expectations about what kind of car belongs in that driveway, what schools, what vacations. The people who stay wealthy tend to notice this spiral early, and they flat out refuse to start it because they understand something most people don't. The most expensive part of a purchase isn't the purchase. It's everything that purchase quietly obligates you to buy next. Let me put hard numbers on this, because the math is more brutal than most people let themselves see. Start with the single most visible status symbol in America, the car. In late 2025, the average price paid for a new vehicle hit over $50,000. The average monthly payment climbed to nearly $770. an all-time high. And to make those payments survivable, buyers are now stretching loans to 7 years, over 85 months. Nearly 1 in 5 new car loans now carries a payment over $1,000 a month. And most of those aren't exotic supercars. They're regular trucks, family SUVs, bought by regular people who just wanted to look like they'd made it. Here's the part nobody factors in. That car is shedding value the entire time. A new car typically loses around 20% of its value in the first year alone, which means for a big chunk of these 7-year loans, people owe more than the car is worth. They're underwater, paying interest on value that already evaporated. And across America, we now owe more than $1.67 trillion in auto loan debt. The car, the thing we treat as the obvious sign of success, has quietly become one of the biggest financial anchors around people's necks. Now, run this calculation instead. Take that $750 average car payment. Instead of financing a new car, you drive a paid-off used one and funnel that $750 into a low-cost index fund every single month at a long-run average return of around 7% after inflation. That's over $100,000 in 10 years, and close to $900,000 over 30. So, the real choice was never nice car versus boring car. The real choice was a nicer car now or close to $1 million later. That math never shows up on the window sticker. And if you're 25, the gap gets even more violent because time is the one thing money can't actually buy back. The same logic runs straight through credit card debt, too. Americans were carrying about $1.25 trillion in credit card debt at the start of 2026. The average balance for households that carry one? Around $6,700 at an average interest rate of roughly 21%. At that rate, making minimum payments on $6,000, it can take close to a decade to pay off, and you'd end up paying thousands extra in interest on top of the original purchase. In plain terms, you're paying for the thing, plus a steep fee to the bank for pretending you could afford it in the first place. Now here's the number that exposes everything. The one metric wealthy people track obsessively, and almost nobody else talks about: net worth. Income announces itself loudly. Net worth stays completely silent. The median household net worth in America sits at around $192,000, but the average gets reported as over $1 million. Because a tiny group of ultra-wealthy households drags that number up, the median is the honest picture. And it tells you, most people own far less than the cars and houses around them suggest. Here's the line researchers keep coming back to. Your savings rate predicts your future wealth better than your income does. A high earner who keeps almost nothing ends up poorer in retirement than a modest earner who quietly invested a fifth of everything they made. The faucet doesn't decide who's wealthy. What you do with the water does. Honestly, the answer is almost boring, and that's exactly why it works. Researchers at Experian Automotive found that 61% of households earning over $250,000 a year don't drive luxury brands at all. They drive Hondas, Toyotas, Fords, the same cars in your neighbor's driveway. A landmark study of American millionaires found something that still surprises people. Most car buyers tie up close to a third of their net worth in vehicles. Actual millionaires? Around 1%. Fewer than a quarter of them were even driving a current year model. They buy used. They drive it until it dies. They rarely finance it. A more recent survey of 600-plus American millionaires landed in the same place. Frugality wasn't an occasional habit, it was a way of life. And here's what makes the math even more striking. Around 69% of millionaires never average 6 figures in household income in a single year. Nearly 80% are first-generation wealthy. They built it themselves. So, this is not a story of massive salaries and glossy lifestyles. It's a story of ordinary incomes meeting unusual discipline. One line that's worth memorizing. When people stop wasting money trying to look wealthy, they finally have the money to actually become wealthy. Read that again. All right, let's get practical. Here's what this actually looks like in real life. Step 1. Decouple your income from your identity. Every time you get a raise, your brain whispers, "You deserve an upgrade now." That's lifestyle inflation, and it's silent, and it will eat every raise you ever get. The move? When income goes up, lifestyle mostly stays the same. The extra flows straight into investments. A raise isn't permission to spend more. It's a chance to widen the gap between what you earn and what you live on. That gap is what eventually becomes freedom. Step 2, automate your savings. Don't rely on willpower. Willpower runs out at the worst possible moments, when you're tired, stressed, or doom scrolling at midnight. So design your environment instead. Set up an automatic transfer into investments on the same day you get paid, before the money ever feels spendable. Delete the shopping apps, remove saved card numbers, add a one-day waiting period between wanting something and buying it. Most impulse purchases? They quietly disappear if you just refuse to act in the moment. The principle is simple. Pay yourself first. Most people earn, spend, try to save whatever's left, which is usually nothing. Flip that order. Investment comes out first. You build your life around what remains. Same income, completely different outcome. Step 3, drive it till it dies. Extend that patience to everything you own. A phone that works doesn't need replacing because a slightly better camera launched. A reliable car doesn't need trading because the neighbor pulled in with something shinier. Before any purchase, ask, how many times will I realistically use this? Divide the price by that number. A $200 jacket worn twice costs $100 per wear. A solid jacket worn 200 times costs pennies. And most impulse buys collapse immediately. Step 4, test before you commit. Closets across America are full of gear from hobbies that lasted 3 weekends. Rent the equipment first, borrow the tool, try the cheap version before the expensive one. Most new obsessions fade fast. Far better to find out while renting than after you've spent $800 on stuff you'll sell for $60 on Facebook Marketplace. Step 5, mute the comparison feed. A huge chunk of the pressure to look rich doesn't come from your actual life. It comes from a glowing screen showing you a curated highlight reel of people you'll never meet, most of whom are performing a prosperity they can't afford. You're not keeping up with wealthy people. You're keeping up with other stretched people who happen to be really good at lighting and filters. Genuinely wealthy people tend to be strangely immune to this because they measure their progress against their own goals, not a stranger's feed. Curate what you let in. The urge to spend your way into belonging gets quieter almost on its own. Go back to that stoplight one more time. The SUV and the Honda, side by side. You see them differently now. You know which driver is more likely free and which one is more likely trapped. And you know the gap between them was almost never about income. It was about understanding the actual game. The wealthy figured this out a long time ago. The goal was never to look rich. The goal was to be free, and freedom is quiet. It doesn't need a badge. It doesn't need a logo. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs you to stop spending money proving something to people who aren't even watching. The dented Honda isn't a symbol of struggle. To the people who understand how money actually works, it's the calling card of someone who already won and simply chose not to announce it. Drop one comment. Are you the SUV or the Honda right now? No judgment. I read every single one in the first 24 hours. And if you want more honest money breakdowns like this, not the hype, not the hustle culture nonsense, just the real mechanics, subscribe. I post every week. See you in the next one.